We're in the age of trust and credibility. And I think especially for real estate investors, a lot of investors want to hide behind a website, right? They want to hide behind it and go, well, I don't want people to know who I am, or I don't want to put too much out about me or whatever. Number one, dude, people need to have pride and like confidence in what they're doing is so damn helpful for that seller and buyer. You should not be ashamed of anything if you're operating the way that you're learning from wholesaling school. Like, you should be so proud that you're in a business that's serving that client so well in a way that no one else could serve them. A real estate agent couldn't serve them that way. So be so damn proud, put it out there. Like, get yourself on that about page, get in front of the darn camera on your cell phone. When you're at that next meeting, pull up the cell phone you just got out of and say, hey, this is Trevor. I'm here in Cincinnati and I just got out of this house talking with the seller, with the house owner, Marcia, and she's going through probate. Her husband passed away. I'm going to walk you through her scenario and her situation and how we made an offer and how we're going to be helping her to sell this house in Cincinnati fast, literally from your cell phone. Okay. So you guys need to come out of the shadows and start to put it out there so you stand out from all the wholesalers and flippers out there and build trust and credibility. We're in the age of trust and credibility.
Let's wholesale real estate. We're gonna wholesale real estate. If you wanna wholesale real estate, then you are in the right place. You don't need no money. You don't need no credit. It's so simple that anyone can get it. Luke's gonna teach you just how to get started. All you have to do is learn and apply it. You are in the right place. You're gonna wholesale real estate. You're gonna wholesale real estate. So let's get started.
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
What's going on, Trevor? How are you, man?
Doing great, dude. I love the energy, man. Love the energy.
Man, thank you, man. Listen, absolutely love what you are doing for real estate investors in the real estate investor space, man. Won't ever forget the first time I saw you. You were actually at We Live, and I saw you by Karen, man, and providing such tremendous value. So when Bradley, when he reached out to me, I'm like, for sure, yeah, I definitely want to have the man, Trevor, on the School of Wholesaling podcast. And here we are, man. How are you?
Doing amazing, dude. Man, I had a chance to dive in the new year to your podcast, like before the new year in December. I was doing a big bike challenge, riding a ton on the bike, man. And your podcast is freaking awesome. You got a bunch of reviews on there, and I love the energy you bring, dude. So thanks for allowing me to hang out with you for a little bit when we record it. It'd be fun.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast as well. Yeah. I'm glad to know that I have your support, man. And and again, man, thank you again for taking out your time. I know you're a busy man, Trevor. And so really quickly, because I know many of us know you, and there's some of us as well, right, that are on the show right now who don't yet know you, right? But many of the people that do, Trevor, they know you for Carrot, right? So I'm just curious I want to know, man, how did it all start for you?
Dude, so I'll take it back, man. So I'm definitely not one of those guys. You hear all the time, hey, I had the lemonade stand, or I sold candy to the kids at school or whatever. Entrepreneur since you're 6, dude. I wasn't that guy. Okay, I never wanted to be in business. I never thought business was sexy. So I'm 38 right now. I think people growing up right now see entrepreneurs as like this really cool, sexy thing. Back when I was growing up, man, it was small businesses. I didn't want to go work at own a convenience store, or my parents owned a rental equipment store. And for me, then I'll jump to the Carrot part. But for me, I showed up every day, to my house and noticed how much they were working. Like, they were working their butts off. Saturdays, some Sundays, going out there and helping like tear down weddings, because that was another business they had started, was a wedding and party store. And so, dude, I wanted the opposite of it. I'm like, I don't want to go into business if it means this, if it means me working on Saturdays and Sundays and just really not having a lot of freedom. Now, their business has changed since then. But dude, after that, man, I kind of got bit by the real estate bug a little bit in college. My dad, he had bought the Carlton Sheets course, like literally the $500 no money down course you see on TV, and he went through it and he didn't do anything with it. And then he put it in front of me and he said, hey, if you buy a property using this within the next year, I won't make you pay for it. Like he gave me the course and he said, if you buy a property, you don't have to pay me anything back for the course. I'm like, all right. And so I went through it and I literally bought a property, no money down, using exactly Carlton Sheet stuff. Bought a four unit apartment building, a little fourplex. I still own that today. And that kind of got me bit by the real estate bug.
So really quickly, man, how much of a life-changing moment was that for you, brother?
It was big for me, man. It wasn't really a big financial win, right? Because when you buy a small property like that, almost all the money gets sucked up into reserves for roofs and windows and, all that kind of stuff. But as far as the mindset shift, it was huge because before that, at that time I was 21, didn't have any money. I didn't have any credit. Like I didn't have bad credit. I just had no credit because I never had a credit card or anything. And so I had this mindset of, well, shoot, no one's going to treat me seriously. I'm just like a college kid with no money. How can I go out and do this? And, once I started to sit down and just said, well, maybe if I go through and talk to enough sellers and write enough letters to people who have owned properties for a while that kind of fit this profile, that I might find someone who just kind of resonates with my story and kind of sees me and them 40 years ago. And dude, I found a guy and he was retired, had some properties he's wanting to get away from so he could just collect the cash flow. So he owned or carried a lot of it. And as soon as it closed, I'm like, oh my gosh, mindset wise, things opened up. Oh damn, what else in my life am I holding myself back on? What else in my life am I under indexing my own abilities with limiting beliefs that are flat out not true? So that was a big deal.
So what were some of the limiting beliefs that you had? Going through that process?
Well, dude, everything. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never bought a property before. Who am I to go straight to a 4-unit building? I'm 21 years old. I've never owned anything before, let alone a piece of real estate. Like I've never had a car, any of that kind of stuff. I don't have any money. How am I going to get this done? When I get the property, how am I going to know what to do to maintain it? I don't know how to come up with an offer. What if I calculate things wrong? Like all these things, right? And so the thing that helped me at that time, and I heard it from a mentor, was actually a college professor who was also a real estate investor. He was kind of one of the ones that inspired me to take action on it. And he just said, you don't have to know all of it. He's like, you just have to learn the next thing. Like, what's the next right thing? And he goes, you don't need to worry about analyzing a property right now because you don't have any properties to analyze. He's like, go find properties and start to talk to people. And then when you figure out, well, shoot, I don't know how to talk to people, then go learn it. And then when you find a property that might look interesting, the person is willing to own or carry, then go like, well, let me figure out how to make an offer now. And let me figure out how to analyze it. So that was a biggie, dude. It was just going like, forget all the stuff out here, 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. And just let me think about what's the next right thing. And let me just learn that.
Dude, that's, I love that you really expressed that, man. And you share that with us because, and I'm sure, now that you're much more seasoned, right? That was a while ago for your first deal.
Yep.
But I'm sure you can see it in newbies that are stepping into this industry all the time, right? Mm-hmm. That overthinking and overanalyzing of the entire process. I love that you just, you're the type of guy who just jumps in and plays it and I'm going to figure it out while I'm in, right? And it's something really magical about that though, Trevor, because that's exactly how I am, right? I'm definitely the kind of person, I learned something, I implement it, right? And then you may not have all the answers right away, but something magical happens in the universe, right? The answers start popping up because you really need them right now, right? Versus being in a position where you're just trying to find everything, then move. So I love that, man. It's something I just resonated with you about. So I just want you, if you don't mind, man, I just want you to at least share a little bit more on that, man. So for someone who's new, what would you tell them about that, man? Going through the same process that you're going through, maybe seeing some of the same obstacles that you have seen as well. What would you say to a new person getting started?
Dude, so here, I'm gonna throw you a little curveball here, and then I'm gonna bring it back and answer your question. So to give people context here, first of all, okay. So like I said, I'm currently 38. I bought that first property when I was 21. Today, if you guys were to say, well, cool, you bought that one property, like what's happened since then? Well, guys, I've gone through a series of those times where I've had to challenge myself. I've had to challenge limiting beliefs. It never ends, right? It never ends because as you feel like you've unlocked and learned something, and then you're more ambitious and want to go chase a bigger goal, the same things creep back up. You have to have a process for going through them, which I'll talk about. But today, Carrot, my main business, it's over a $10 million a year business. So we keep growing, 40 plus employees. That's another massive limiting belief that I had was, 6-7 years ago, I'm like, I don't want employees. They're a pain in the butt. You can't find good people, because that's what I was hearing from other people. Right. And then I'll walk you through what I did. So here's the first thing. Throughout those years, from 21 years old to today, through about 5 or 6 different businesses, through some things working and some things failing miserably, up to being running an 8-figure company that's highly profitable, and we're still growing, bigger than I ever thought I could possibly grow a company. It was this thing I had to do over and over again. So number one, I had to flip my risk profile. So way back at 21 years old, when I'm looking at that investment, or when I'm starting a company, at 25, or bought another property at 28 or whatever it is, it's like, okay, what pops up in our mind usually is the worst case scenario. And that worst case scenario usually stops us from moving forward. It's, well, shoot, what if I analyze this property wrong and I lose everything? Or it's, what is my family going to think if I fail, and whatever it is. And so what I want people to do is really write down what that worst case scenario likely is. Okay. Well, worst case scenario likely is, well, let's say I make the investment, or I lock down the property. You're wholesaling, right? So let's go to wholesaling. Let's say worst case scenario is I find a property, I analyze it, I lock it down on contract. The worst case scenario is you didn't get a good deal on it. No one's going to actually buy the contract, and you have to give it back to the seller. Probably, right? I mean, there might be a worst case, but that to me is probably about worst case. And so usually the worst case isn't as bad as we think it is before we actually really analyze it. Number two, we have to flip the risk profile. And so this is one thing that a lot of people don't do when they get stuck in that analysis paralysis, or stuck in a mode where they don't really progress and win in life, where they look back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a row and go, man, every single year I say this year is going to be my year, and every single year I don't take action, or every single year it's not. You need to flip the risk profile. And here's what I do. Number one, I say, I don't look at it and go, well, what's the worst that can happen? And that's the risk. I say, what is 100% guaranteed to happen if I don't take action? What's 100% guaranteed to happen if I don't take action? And with a lot of people, what's 100% guaranteed to happen if you don't take action on wholesaling, go out there and make offers, or if you don't take action, buy that first property, or start that business, or quit your job if that's the thing you want to do, move on to the next thing. The worst thing that could happen is you're going to stay in that current life and that pattern that you obviously aren't enjoying because you're looking for something new. You're probably going to begin to resent a lot of stuff. You might look back in 5, 10, 15, 20 years and go, damn, I wish I would have taken a chance on myself. And then now a lot of your life has passed. And that's a terrible picture. I do not want that for myself. And I don't think most of you guys do either. So look at the worst case scenario, analyze it. It's usually not as bad as you think it is. Number two, flip it around and say, what's 100% guaranteed going to happen if I don't do this? I'm more scared of that than I am on the worst case scenario. I'm like, oh, damn, I'm scared that I don't want to live this life that I don't enjoy as much as I can enjoy this vision that I've got here out there.
That's beautiful, man. That is absolutely beautiful. And this is a great example of just mindset, man, and the importance of having the proper mindset going on this journey. I mean, life is a journey. Entrepreneurship is like the ultimate adventure, right?
Yeah, it is.
I'm sure you'd agree, man. Doing something that you love to do and really, paving the way for yourself and just creating your own economy is just, there's nothing else like it, in my opinion. But it does require the proper mindset, man. And so now I did take a look and I noticed that you also talk about the energy audit, which I thought is very, very, very valuable for anyone to hear about. I mean, it's not necessarily wholesaling, but I mean, any entrepreneur who wants to get started entrepreneur, I felt like it's just an important thing to talk about. So now, if it's not too much to ask, I would love for you to share about the energy audit.
Dude, let's do it, man. So same thing. You guys kind of know where I started in entrepreneurship, and now you guys know where we are today. And we work with about 8,000 active investors and wholesalers and even some real estate agents now to generate a lot of leads online. And along that way, what happened to me was I'd start a business And in that early phase, you're excited about everything, right? Like everything is interesting, and you're having to learn everything because you might not have the resources or money to go hire someone or whatever it is. So, I'll give you some examples from my own story. Early in the years of when I was starting to grow my online side of the companies and learn the skill set of generating leads online, I was building my own website. I was writing all my own copy. I was like diving in and learning how to hack at some basic code and WordPress sites. And like, I jacked it up, but I did what I could do because I didn't have the money to pay for it. Yeah. I would be sitting there and like executing the marketing. I would be doing all this. I'd be doing the bookkeeping. I'd be doing the accounting. I'd be doing like all the stuff, And what happens is after that newness wears off, which it will eventually wear off. It's just like, it's the honeymoon phase of entrepreneurship, right? After that newness wears off and that initial just fire and energy from the start, from like the launch pad wears off, what's going to happen is you need your business to give you energy, not take it. And most people, we start businesses because we're running away from something, usually. Okay, we're running away from a job we don't like. We're running away from a vision we don't like. We're running away from an income ceiling that we don't like. We're running away from limiting beliefs our family members or friends place on us. We're running away from something. And as soon as you get velocity away from that thing and you're like, damn, I've finally got my income replaced and I see a good vision ahead. Like, so that's where the energy wears off from the start. And so this happened to me around 2010 or 11. And I found myself waking up, amazing wife. At that time, I had one child, my first daughter. I've got three now, 2 girls and a boy. And it was making low 6 figures a year as a mid 20-something-year-old guy. Was able to travel. From the outside in, dude, everybody probably thought Trevor's got it made, which I did. I wasn't grateful. I wasn't grateful. And I'm laying there one day and I remember staring up at the wall after my wife had got up, got herself ready for work. We got the baby ready. Baby went to the babysitter, and I'm laying there at 10 o'clock. I'm laying there at 11 o'clock. I'm going, I don't want to get out of bed to do the work in the business that I had created for myself. Wow. And I think we all create businesses for freedom, flexibility, finances, of course, and hopefully we want to make an impact, right? We create businesses for freedom and impact. And at that time, I had money, but I didn't have any freedom because my business was trapping me. And I wanted to make a greater impact, but I couldn't because I didn't have the time to do it because my business was trapping me with crap I didn't like to do. And so I sat there, and I'll walk you guys through the energy audit. This was the start of it in 2010, 11. I took out a piece of paper, and you guys can actually find, I now have a worksheet. You don't have to opt in for it. Like no email exchange, nothing. Just carrot.com/energy. Carrot.com/energy, or I think we've got one up at carrot.com/Trevor, carrot.com/Trevor. That and some other productivity resources I use are there too. So I pulled it up, piece of paper, line down the middle of the piece of paper on the left side, write down the things that drain your energy in an average work week. Okay. And these are things you're actively doing. Like these are things that if you look at your average work week, the past 4 weeks, what are things that you're doing in work and life that drain your energy? You have less energy when you're done doing them. Write that list. On the other side of the piece of paper, write the list of the things that give you energy in business and life. Now, this is important where this one, you want to dream and put stuff that you're not currently doing on an average work week, especially that stuff. At that time I wasn't working out. I love strategy, dude. Like if you talk to me about what gives me energy in work, strategy gives me energy. I want to think up ideas. I want to get the whiteboard out, like blow up stuff. And then I want to walk out of the room and not have to execute it. Right.
You're a creator.
Yeah, exactly. I love talking. This gives me energy. Like this right here gives me energy. What drains my energy, I discovered, was about 80% of the things I was doing in my work at that time. It drained my energy to take that marketing idea that we had and actually go do it. I didn't want to sit down and write the ad. I didn't want to sit down and write the emails. I didn't want to build the darn website. I didn't want to have to do that stuff. I didn't want to do the books and the bookkeeping. It drained my energy. Mm-hmm. Now, some of it you've got to do for a period of time. Like you can't just drop it all and go, well, I don't like to do it, therefore it's gone. Like in that first initial phase of starting your company, you've got to get momentum. And then once you get income coming in, take that energy audit. You've got your things that drain your energy on one side, things that give your energy on the other side. And then what you do next is I would take that piece of paper and the document, carrot.com/Trevor with the energy audit walks you through it. You then circle the 1 or 2 things that drain your energy the most on that left side. And then write down how many hours per week you spend doing that. So let's say, it's whatever it is. I'll give a real example for me from 2015. I wrote that thing and it was writing blog posts. Like writing blog posts is part of what was building our business, dude. I couldn't just shut it off. Yeah. And I couldn't just outsource it to someone in India or something. Like the blog post had to be amazing because that's what attract people to Carrot and converted people, but it drained my energy so bad. And I wrote it down. I said, that's probably 8 hours a week. And then there was probably something else on there that was maybe another 3 hours a week. And I'm looking at this going, okay, 11 hours a week. I'm doing these 2 things that are just absolutely draining the life out of me, but they have to get done in the business. I just need to figure out how I don't have to do them. Okay. So you circle those 2 things. And then what I do every quarter now is I look over to the energy give part of it. And I say, awesome. The first thing this quarter, I'm gonna create a process and then find someone to do those 2 things that are draining my energy but drive the business. That's my first action items. Write them down on the wall, create a process for this, document how I'm doing it, and then go find someone to do it for me. Number 2, I go over to the energy give side and I circle 1 or 2 things over there that I'm not doing enough that give me energy. I'm like, I'm gonna start doing that this quarter. And dude, that's how my podcast started. 2016, dude, I'm like, energy audit. I need to get away from blog posts because they drain my energy, but they make us money. And I'm going to start a podcast. I have no clue how it's going to make me money, but it gives me energy. And that's all that matters to me. And I'll wrap it with this is the whole aim with the energy audit is when you do your thing in the left side, the thing in the right side, you want to switch your ratio to where at least 80% of your week ideally is giving you energy. At that time, when I first created that audit in 2010, 2011, it was about 80% of my time was spent in energy draining things. Dude, no wonder I didn't want to get up out of bed to go to work. Wow. No wonder. And it took about 2 to 3 years to shift it to 80% energy giving. And I still do the energy audit every single quarter.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, man. A question I have for you. I mean, many people, do you believe, does many people realize that a lot of their energy is really getting drained by things they don't like? I mean, how many people are really aware of that? Honestly, I wasn't really until I learned about your energy audit and the way that you do things. I didn't realize how much of my time was being taken up by things that just were draining energy versus things that give me more energy. So, is that something that you believe that many people know about? I mean,
I don't think so, man. Here's kind of what a lot of us learn, right? It's like, and it's not wrong. I think for me, it didn't end up working out well. Was we end up learning, hey, you're doing a lot of things. You need to learn productivity, right? So you go read the book, Getting Things Done, which is an amazing book. It's a great book. By David Allen, I think it is, or you go read this book or that book, or take this course in productivity or how to organize your inbox more. Like all those things are good. They're all necessary. They can help you be more effective. But a lot of that advice that we're getting is organizing the stuff that you're doing versus saying, what should I cut out that serves me better and fuels me better? Or a lot of the things that people will say is write down a list of all the things that make you money and don't make you money that you're doing. And then like all those things you're currently doing that don't make you money or don't make you very much money, outsource them or get them off of your lap. I think that's a recipe for being unfulfilled in business, honestly. And that's what got me to that spot in 2010, 11 was I had gone through that process over and over again, lying down the middle of the paper, things that make me money, don't make me money. Okay. Circle the things that make me money. Let me do more of that. So I started doing more of that. I just started doing more marketing campaigns. I started doing more of those things that were making me money. And dude, I pulled back. I'm like, I'm flat out freaking miserable. Okay. I've got more money, but no more time to do it. And this stuff is draining the crap out of me. So in that moment, I had that question pop up to my mind. I'm like, what if this isn't what we're supposed to be going after? Like, what if we're not supposed to be just optimizing our days for income? Like, what if we optimize our days for energy and joy? And what if we actually like started doing more of the things that we really like to do, and we got really good at those things that we like to do that give us energy? And what if that actually helped us grow our business even faster when we sat in what we're amazing at and what we love to do? And that's all I did, man. I'm like, I took my mind off of the revenue side of it. And I'm like, I'm going to go towards energy and joy and getting really good at those things that give me energy. And then eventually I think the income will come. And that's what happened. It takes patience though, dude. It takes patience.
That's amazing, man. So now how did Carrot come to be?
Yep. Dude, so Carrot came to be in this way. So 2004, I bought that first property. So when I was 21, and then over the series of years after that, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I personally had thought I wanted to do wholesaling. So I investigated every forum, all that kind of stuff. I could answer a lot of the wholesaling questions probably just as good as people who were actually doing it. And I had never done a wholesale deal at that point. But for me, I started to look back and I said, man, what type of business do I want to build? Like what's my end game? And that's something a lot of people, myself included, a lot of people just start a business because it makes money. Instead of saying, well, what's my end game? Like, what do I want this business to build towards? What do I want? How do I want it to serve me and in my community and those around me? And so I started looking at wholesaling, and as I was digging into it, I'm like, man, this is just going to put me on a hamster wheel of closing deals all the time, unless I take that active income and put it towards something that is more sustainable over the long term. And for me, I had to look back, and like I said, I really do love real estate as a store of value. I love real estate as a wealth building activity. But for me, I decided right after buying that first property that I wanted to buy and hold. That was gonna be my game. And the only decision was, how am I going to make money on my active income? Is it going to be flipping houses and wholesaling, or am I going to try to find something else? And I just started discovering I love marketing. And I discovered that the internet was this interesting thing that you could start to really, get good results from. So it would have been 2005. I moved out of small town Oregon up to Portland, Oregon, which is a big city for us here in Oregon anyway. And I was doing some work for like $1,000 a month. I wasn't making any money. $1,000 a month. I was working at my uncle's mortgage broker. He wasn't his. He was a mortgage broker at a brokerage. And I was helping him with some marketing. And he walked up to me one day and he pointed at the computer screen and said, "Can you Google like mortgage brokers Portland?" And I was like, okay, cool. I Googled it. And he said, "How do you get me there?" He pointed to the top of Google. And I go, "I don't know." And he goes, "You think you could do it?" I go, "I probably could. I don't know. I'll go figure out how to do it." Up to that point, all that he had me doing was literally going through Craigslist and cold calling people that were on for sale by owner to see if they wanted a mortgage or refinance. It was miserable, completely miserable. But I'm glad I did it because it showed me, crap I didn't want to do. And so I learned how to build simple websites that got ranked well in Google. And then I'm like, damn, this is working really well. The most motivated people, they're going to be picking up not their cell phone at that time, but today their cell phone. The most motivated people are actively seeking out a solution to their problem. They're like, damn, I've got this issue with this house, or I want to buy a home, or I want to find a house to rent. And then they're actively going to try to solve it. And the first place that we all go is right here to Google now. Okay. And so once I got really good at getting things ranked high in Google and creating content to do so, not gaming the system, but doing exactly what Google wants, like creating content that answers the problems, that builds trust, that builds credibility, that positions me and my clients at that time in a better light than everybody else. And I'm like, oh man, people are landing on these sites, but no one's becoming a lead, right? It's like they're here, but it's not doing the clients any good because they're not getting leads from it. And so I started to go, well, what's next? And I started to Google how to get leads on my website. And I learned about something called conversion optimization, conversion rate optimization, right? And all that is the fancy term for when someone lands on your website, there's certain things that you can do that position it with the words on the site, the way your site's structured, how the buttons are, how big they are, the words on the buttons, how many form fields, colors of buttons, thousands of things that are psychology triggers that help a website convert a visitor into a lead at a higher rate. I got really good at that. And so over the next 3 to 4 years, I took on clients, some of them really big outside of the real estate market. The biggest one is about a $500 million a year company at that time. That's a flooring company. So if you go to Home Depot and buy life-proof flooring or any of that, it's the company that manufactures that I did all the online marketing for. Cool. Implementing the exact same stuff that we do today in Carrot. Wow. Okay, I've grown Carrot the exact way that I grew their company from number 8 on HomeDepot.com to number 1 in their category. Exact same way. And so that was around 2010. I got that client, starting to crank on stuff. I had another business, and in 2012, I kind of hit that crossroads where I'm like, damn, I don't enjoy what I'm liking still. And I'm just going to start over and start from scratch. And so here's how the carrot idea happened and how it started. And I want to give context because that was the background. Over about 5 years, I got really good at generating leads, and a lot of leads for real estate investors during that time, a lot of sellers and buyers. And so I read a book called The Pumpkin Plan, and the Pumpkin Plan essentially states like a lot of entrepreneurs get in trouble by having too many pumpkins on the vine. They have too many businesses going on. They get distracted. And this story in the book essentially states this, and I read this in 2012. The story in the book essentially talks about a pumpkin farmer. And you know those pumpkin farmers that grow like the world champion, ginormous, like 2,000 pound pumpkins. They do it in a different way than a normal pumpkin is grown. And essentially they start with a seed. Like you've got to have the right seed in order to grow a ginormous pumpkin. You can't use a seed from a small pumpkin varietal. You've got to use the seed that goes big. So that's a big idea, right? Going to business, you got to have an idea that's going to go big enough that can reach your vision, your dreams. Number two, you plant the darn seed in the ground. You water the heck out of it. That's marketing. That's showing up every day to learning your business and whatever. And he said, number three, you're going to see the sprout come up and you're going to see the vines start to spider out there, and there's going to be leaves popping off the vines, and you're going to see pumpkins growing on the different vines on there. And he said, what you need to do is look at 3, 4, 5 pumpkins out there that look promising and cut everything else off. Cut all the leaves off, cut every other pumpkin off the vine. And equivalent to businesses, when you start out, you want to dabble in some things, okay? Dabble in this, dabble in that, kind of taste test some things for a short amount of time, but then trim everything else off. And he said eventually, but you have to do it pretty quickly. You're going to find one pumpkin has more promise than anything else. And he said, this is the mistake most entrepreneurs make, is they don't trim down and focus on one pumpkin. They're still focusing on 5 marketing methods, or they're focusing on 2 different businesses, or whatever it is, 2, 3 different types of real estate investing. And he said, as soon as you see one that's promising, trim every other pumpkin off the vine, trim every other leaf off the vine, focus on that one and water the crap out of it. And he said that last week, you can almost see the pumpkin growing. It grows so fast. But if you keep those other leaves and pumpkins on the vine, all those other leaves and pumpkins suck the energy out. So you're going to have a bunch of mediocre results out there, and you're never going to grow that world champion pumpkin. So I read that. And in that moment, I'm like, man, I've got too many things going on, and I'm not really enjoying at my core all of these. And it doesn't seem like any one of these is the big pumpkin. Okay. And so I vowed that year, dude, I'm like, I'm trimming everything. I'm trimming absolutely everything. And I'm going to reset from scratch. And I think this might be inspiring for some people that I think I talked about this actually at that We Live was in that moment. And I heard this years later, but this is kind of like looking back on the moment, hindsight's 2020. You oftentimes have to go down before you can go up, right? Sometimes your income has to go down before it can set a stronger foundation to go up. Sometimes you've got to hit rock bottom personally before you can become your greatest version of yourself, whatever it is. And I was making a couple $100,000 a year as a mid 20-something-year-old dude. And in 2011, 12, in 2013, my personal tax return was $26,000. I went from $200,000 to $26,000 in 1 year. I cut all my businesses off and I said, I'm focusing on one thing this next year. And the one thing that was left here, dude, was this. I trimmed everything except for that one client, the big client I was talking about, the flooring company, because they were paying some good revenue coming in. I had to still like buy food for the family and stuff. But then I had about 100 websites that I had set up on WordPress for a bunch of real estate investors from one of my previous companies that I cut. And that was a 6-figure company. I'm like, I walked away from it. I didn't get much from it. I flat out walked away from it. Cause I just need time and my energy back. I don't care about the money. I'll figure out a way to make that money back someday. And there was about 100 websites with investors that was helping them raise private money, and they converted well. They ranked really well on Google, and it was on this hosting account. It was a pain in the butt. They were paying me $9 a month. And I'm looking at the last things to cut, and I'm going, damn, this thing is a pain in the butt because I'm not making money on it. And they all want support, of course, because they're paying $10 a month. And the second I was getting ready to cut it, it popped up to me, and someone reached out to me, and they essentially said, it's like, I've got this website that's up here, but it's not getting me results. What do I do to make it better? Can you help me? I'm like, oh man, I know exactly what to do to get that results. You need to change this to get it ranked higher on Google, to get in front of those most motivated people, change these 5 things to make it convert better, but I don't have the time to do it for you because I'm focused on my big thing, whatever it's going to be. And then my brain jumped over to those 100 real estate investors over. I'm like, oh, damn, what if I took that and just helped more of those people do this? Like, what if I just scaled it out where I could help them get the most amazing leads possible, and I could focus on that on my one thing? And that's what we did, dude. So end of 2013, start of 2014, I put up a website. It wasn't called Carrot at that time until mid 2014. We literally created every website by hand when someone signed up. It took us about 20 minutes with the process and clicking buttons and uploading files and all this. And today we're 8,000 clients, about 15,000 websites strong. It's all automated now. I don't have to build them one by one. But that was the journey, man. So I think if people look at me going, a guy's worth 50 million plus and owns a bunch of real estate in this great business, he must have had some silver spoon or had all this. Guys, I worked my butt off and I read lots of books and trimmed the crap out of stuff and focused on one big thing and put my head down until it worked.
I love that, man. I absolutely love that. Listen, man, listen. Kudos, huge pat on the back to you, my man, Trevor, because, a lot of people really do believe we just wake up like this. You just one day you just wake up and, Carrot's just here, right? And many, I didn't even know, to be honest with you, Trevor, I did not even know that this is that Carrot. You got that name in 2014,
Yep.
Look, just it's like you said earlier, right? It's the patience, right, through your journey that's required. And so, I want to ask you this. Man. Okay, so for the real estate investors that are listening to the show, many people on the show right now, a lot of them haven't done the first deal, right?
Yep.
Some of them have. Some of them are starting to, get off the ground. They're starting to get going, starting to get rolling, and put their systems together and grow their business. And so, what I want to ask you, Trevor, with a tool as powerful as Carrot, obviously it was created with the investor in mind, right? Mm-hmm. And so, with a tool like Carrot, would you suggest someone who's brand new to get Carrot and start utilizing it and start taking advantage of marketing online? Or what would you tell someone like that who may be hesitant on going and taking the new route of marketing, because this is relatively new. Doing everything online is relatively new. So what would you say to someone who's just getting started out and they want to, they're listening to this podcast right now, they're like, man, that guy Trevor's an awesome guy. You know what? Yep. I absolutely want to try Carrot. What would you share with someone like that?
Dude, it's an awesome question. And I'll be straight up with you too, that I'm going to actually drive a bunch of people away from getting a Carrot site at the start. But here's exactly what I suggest people do. And here's the potential that you have. So right now our clients generate about 80,000 leads a month. Most of them are motivated sellers. If you were to Google sell my house fast, insert whatever city in the country, you're probably going to find 3 to 8 Carrot sites controlling page one in Google in pretty much every city. Hundreds of millions of deals are closed through our platform every year. So the reason I say this is it works, right? But now let me go back to someone who's new. And I'll do it with this story. So Brian Rockwell, he's one of our clients down in Dallas, crazy competitive market, right? One of the most competitive markets out there. There's gazillion real estate investors, wholesalers in Dallas. We have a ton of Carrot customers down there. Brian was a school teacher for about 13 years. And he was one of those guys kind of like me for a little bit, where you're researching, you're reading all the forums, you can answer all the questions better than anyone else, but he didn't take action. And then his wife actually inspired him. She had started a business and she was starting to use the internet to get some leads for her business. And he's like, you know what? She took a chance on herself. I'm going to take a chance on myself and start this thing. I'm going to start my dream. So what he did was this, and this is what I would suggest people do. Okay. Is one of the fastest ways and cheapest ways to get your first deal is offline. To get a deal online, it might take a little bit more time, and it might take a little bit more energy or possibly even expense. And I'll walk you through that here in a second. But what Brian did was he said, okay, I'm going to start driving neighborhoods. And this is before Deal Machine and all that kind of stuff, or maybe Deal Machine was there, but he didn't have it. He was literally driving neighborhoods on the way from work to home. and he would take a different route every time. He'd write down the addresses, the same thing, right? You've probably talked about it a million times in your podcast. Write down the addresses, the long grass, the full mailbox, the tore up roof, the vacant house, whatever it is. He'd get home, he'd write handwritten letters to all those addresses. And he was literally like, he didn't even have the money allocated to go do a direct mail drop. Individually writing handwritten letters. Hey, I saw your house. I'd like to buy it. Let's talk, kind of a thing. He sent out, and we have a podcast that is on this. You guys can Google Brian Rockwell, just like it sounds, Carrot. Just Google Brian Rockwell Carrot, and you'll find this podcast where he walks through exactly how he did this. But he ended up closing his first deal through that method. Okay. It was free except for the postage and his time. He sent out 100 and something letters to get that first deal. And they're all very targeted letters, right? So now if someone's hearing this saying, well, how did he get a deal in 100 letters? I've sent 5,000. Well, he didn't do it off of a list. He just drove around in highly, highly tightly targeted houses that were for sure vacant and that were messed up. Okay. So that's what he did. He closed the deal, $8,000. He pulled back, and he's a pretty shy guy. And he's like, dude, I don't ever want to do that again. He said, I don't want to drive around and have to write all these letters. I don't want to have to go knock on all these doors. And he said, there's got to be a marketing method that fits me and what I want out of my business better. So now this is the second piece of advice. Okay. First piece is you guys can hustle, get your first deal closed any way you need to get it done. We still have clients closing deals on Craigslist, right? Go to Craigslist, the for sale by owner section, and search up, there's a little box to search stuff. Search up fixer upper or motivated or fire damaged or any word that shows motivation. And then send an email to all those people and ask if they're the owner of the property, because you don't want to be working with the real estate agent. Hey, Awesome, I saw you're listing Craigslist. Are you the owner of the property? I'm interested in buying something in this area. Yes, I am. Okay, amazing. Make every one of them an offer. Every day, send out 5, 10, 15, 20 of those. Okay, you will get a deal eventually if you send enough of those out. Just like Brian did, he just did it a different way. Okay. So number one, you got to get the first deal closed, because once you get the first deal closed in a very manual, cheap, low cost way, if you don't have a lot of funds, but you got some time, then you can take that money and put it towards something that scales your marketing out better. And so Brian took the $8,000 and he said, cool, I'm going to research and find something that can scale better. He chose Carrot. A lot of people choose direct mail, cold calling. They all work. They're just different, right? He chose Carrot. He launched a Carrot site. He went through our training. He went through our 3 lead per day training. And he said, cool, there's 2 ways to get leads through Carrot. Search engine optimization. So getting it ranked high in Google. I call it Evergreen Marketing. It's marketing that once you get ranked high, people are coming day, night for years for something you did one time. And then there's another way to get traffic and leads quicker, which is paid marketing. It's your Google ads, Facebook ads, stuff like that, right? SEO, getting ranked high in Google, takes time, 6 to 12 months in a competitive market if you're executing the plan. Paid marketing is immediate. And so he went through our training, just literally executed, took that $8,000 that he had. He paid $100 a month for Carrot, right? He went through the training, said, I'm going to go through the training and do the SEO part. And I'm going to invest a couple hours a day for the first month or 2 into this. But I don't want to learn the pay-per-click side. I'm going to take $4,000. He took half of that first deal. I'm going to take $4,000 and put it towards hiring someone to help me launch my ads and towards ads for 2 months. Okay. So he did that. And in that case study, you guys will walk through and see first year closed over $600,000 in deals, over $300,000 in profits in Dallas, just doing that.
Wow.
So that's kind of a hybrid approach, right? I definitely wouldn't suggest that if you're brand new and you haven't done anything yet, that you launch a site and do SEO to get your first deal. SEO is amazing. SEO is going to get your highest motivated clients. It's going to get the highest conversion of your deals. If you look at all the marketing methods out there, radio and TV, it's somewhere between 1 in 50 to 1 in 60 leads into a deal. Direct mail is between 1 in 20 to 1 in 40 leads turn into a deal. Google pay-per-click between 1 in 10 to 1 in 25 leads turn into a deal. And then SEO, it's between 1 in 5 to 1 in 15 leads turn into a deal. And so the lead quality is way better in the SEO. Your margins are higher because they're more motivated, right? And so that's what I would suggest is short term, do anything you got to do to get the first deal, and then take that money and put it towards something that's more long-term sustainable that builds your foundation. I'll finish it with this and toss it back over to you is cold calling, direct mail. They're amazing. They work great, right? The only thing that I want people to think about is outbound marketing is what I call ebb and flow marketing. Okay. Any outbound method has an ebb and flow in the way that in how effective it is over time. So if you're in Dallas, as an example, let's say you're in a smaller market and man, direct mail, not a lot of people are using it. Gurus are saying use it because not a lot of people, man, I'm going to dive in and start sending my direct mail. Everyone else is within a year and a half, right? Now, every seller is getting 15 direct mail pieces. Everyone's buying the same lists. Everyone's sending out similar pieces. And now your mail pieces, your response rate got cut by, 80%. And now you've got to send 20, you got to send double or triple the amount of mail to get the same amount of deals.
Very true.
And that actually happened, right?
Yeah.
So when that happened, what did you see happen? Cold calling popped up. Okay, well, shoot, guys, we're getting leads and deals way cheaper now. We're able to crack through. No one's sending cold calls, so everyone starts cold calling, right? So direct mail was working really well up here. Everyone uses it. Response rates go down here. Let's find something new. Cold calling comes up. Bam, it's working great. Now everyone's cold calling. Response rates start to go down. People stop answering calls. What comes next? RVMs and text messages. Okay, so now we're gonna start sending RVMs and text. They all work, but okay, bam, now every seller is getting 14 text messages or whatever it is. So you just have to always know with outbound, you're always having to shift and pivot based on what the market's doing, what's saturating the messaging. With inbound, with online, it keeps on getting more effective and growing because it's not driven on your marketing messages going to them. It's driven on the market going online and looking for solutions. And so that's why I always suggest that the online inbound side should be a huge part of your long-term plan if you want consistency and predictability.
Absolutely amazing, man. Absolutely. I had no idea we were going to drop this many bombs, Trevor. What? Go Nuggets, man. That's amazing. Yes, man. I love the fact that you shed light on that, because it's true. In 2017, well, let me just say this. In 2016, I got started, right? And I did my first deal September 26, 2016. And I did that through direct mail. And I practiced direct mail for about a year before I actually started to, shift and do other types of marketing strategies. And so the thing that got me to shift, though, it wasn't because, direct mail wasn't working. It's because I did notice a huge dip in my response rate. I started noticing, hey, I'm spending what I normally spend, but I'm getting like no responses. And it was just like a huge, how do I say it? It was a huge stop in a way, right? Because it was very, very noticeable. And that's what got me looking at other marketing streams and start to expand my knowledge on that. And so, it worked out for me in a positive way, right? I got to learn more about marketing. But the thing is, outbound marketing really does have that just that thing about it, where when everyone's doing it, it's more saturated, sellers, they're a little bit more on the edge. They're less likely to contact you. They're less likely to respond. And so to learn and to have you share with everyone on this podcast right now, what online marketing, the difference between, offline, doing the outbound marketing versus having, your website online like Carrot, right? And having your SEO done right. So that way you're at the top for all of these people who literally are raising their hands, right? These are hand raisers, right? They're like, hey, I need to sell my house. And so I absolutely love that, man, because I believe that is a level of value that everyone listening right now probably wouldn't have received, Trevor, if we hadn't gotten on this call right now and talked about that, because I don't hear too many people actually sharing that information about marketing, because that's actually very, very true, that does happen. And so I do want to say this, man, for those people out there, because you mentioned a little bit earlier, right? With the SEO, you were creating a lot of blogs, right? Content creation. So for someone who, let's say, they're a little scared of creating blogs, they're a little scared of creating content creation because they just don't know how, or they don't know where to start, or maybe they have that limiting belief that they're not the best writer, or they don't look good on camera. What do you say to someone like that to help them get moving?
Dude, that's an awesome question, man, because that's real. That's a real limiting belief, right? That people have, and I had the same thing. So there's a couple things. So number one, a lot of our investor clients really don't write any content or write blogs. Like they'll launch a Carrot site And there's a few things that you should do to make it yours, right? Because we do, when you launch a carrot site, you can pick a design, you want seller site, buyer site, mobile home, land, like whatever you want, right? But then you should go in there and customize the look and feel, get your branding in there, get your local photos in there, get your about page, credibility built out, get testimonials up on there, like really make it so you're optimizing or personalizing, that's a better word. You're personalizing our high converting framework, right? So that's number one. And if you go through our training, you can still go through there and modify the content, or go through our SEO training and do the SEO and rank really well without having to build out a bunch of content or write stuff. Okay. But number two, if you really want the best results, here's what you should do is you could hire people to write the content for you, or for Carrot members, we have services that do it for you. If you want us to launch, we call them location pages. So if let's say you're a Texas home buyer, right? And let's say you buy in 5 different cities. Most people, when they start their websites, before Carrot came along, you'd launch a website and there was a home page and like maybe an about page and a contact page and whatever. But we started taking cues from Zillow and from LoopNet. And when you find things, when you like Google something and you find a Zillow page or a LoopNet.com page, it's never the home page that ranks. It's always like a page specifically for that city and that niche in that city. Sure. And so we said, well, what if we start creating pages, we call them location pages, where you have a page for every city that you invest in and for every niche that you're looking to buy or sell. And so that's the next thing we suggest people do, is launch those location pages for sell your house fast Dallas, sell your house fast Houston, sell your house fast San Antonio, sell your inherited home fast in Duluth, like whatever it is. Okay. And we can do that as a service. It's a paid service, or you can go through our training to write that, and it's simple stuff to write. Number two, dude, we have some features in our system. One of them is called our automated content packs, where we go through and do the research every single month. And we research what are buyers searching, what are sellers searching, motivated house sellers. And our team writes 24 articles a month, 12 for our Content Pro plan. That's our $100 a month plan. And then an additional 12 for our advanced marketer plan, which is only $200 a month. And so you can literally log in, click some buttons, and schedule up blog posts that our team wrote that convert well. And that we have this technology that kind of injects your city and state and phone number into all the articles. So if you were to Google like sell my house that I inherited in Birmingham, or, tons of phrases like that, in all kinds of different cities, you're going to find lots of Carrot sites that rank for content that they never wrote. And they're pulling in probate houses, probate leads, inherited divorce leads from articles from our automated content system. And then the second thing, dude, and this is what I do now, and I'd suggest people do this, is we're in the age of trust and credibility. And I think especially for real estate investors, a lot of investors want to hide behind a website, right? They want to hide behind it and go, well, I don't want people to know who I am, or I don't want to put too much out about me or whatever. Number one, dude, people need to have pride and like confidence in what they're doing is so damn helpful for that seller and buyer. You should not be ashamed of anything if you're operating the way that you're learning from wholesaling school. Like, you should be so proud that you're in a business that's serving that client so well in a way that no one else could serve them. A real estate agent couldn't serve them that way. So be so damn proud, put it out there. Like, get yourself on that about page, get in front of the darn camera on your cell phone. When you're at that next meeting, pull up the cell phone you just got out of and say, hey, this is Trevor. I'm here in Cincinnati, and I just got out of this house talking with the seller, with the house owner, Marcia, and she's going through probate. Her husband passed away. I'm going to walk you through her scenario and her situation and how we made an offer and how we're going to be helping her to sell this house in Cincinnati fast, literally from your cell phone. Okay. So you guys need to come out of the shadows and start to put it out there so you stand out from all the wholesalers and flippers out there and build trust and credibility. We're in the age of trust and credibility. The reason I bring this up to answer your content question is, for years we were telling people, take those videos, upload them to YouTube, and then send them through a transcription service like rev.com or something to get all the words yanked out of it to get it transcribed, and then put that on your site. It's like, oh, that's a great way to make articles. Take your video and make an art. And so we automated that. We're like, all you got to do now is get your darn video in YouTube, copy and paste the URL. Our system does the whole thing. It takes all the words out of it. It emails you a couple hours later and says, hey, your article's ready. And it's got your video at the top. It's got all the words in it below. And we have people ranking really high in Google for content that took them less than 10 minutes to make. 3 to 5 minute video, upload it to YouTube, put it into our video post feature, less than 10 minutes. And if people wanted an example of this, like a little homegrown example, I recorded a video on this, showing you how to do a video post in under 10 minutes. But this is the real example. Like I'm in a town called Roseburg, and I have a co-work space here, an 8,000 square foot co-work space. And so I sat down and I said, man, it'd be amazing if I could just like rank #1 in Google for entrepreneur co-work space, and it took me less than 10 minutes to do it. and I use Carrot to do that. Wow. And so if you were to Google a phrase like literally Roseburg, ROSEBURG, co-work space, the #1 ranking is a video post that I did in June 2019. So almost two years ago. That's evergreen marketing right there, dude. Like when I talk evergreen marketing, it means you do marketing one time and it works not just for weeks, not just for the weeks that a direct mail goes out or whatever, it works for years. Okay, it took 10 minutes to do that piece. It's ranking #1 in Google. And if you click it, it's literally a hokey, not very fancy video I shot with my cell phone. The whole rest of it below is all content that came out of the video. And I get leads from that for our co-work space here every month.
I just Googled it, man. I had to Google that as you were speaking.
Yeah.
And yes. And yeah, that's you, man. #1.
right there. And so that was a video that took me as a 4-minute video. The whole process took me less than 10 minutes.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So then the answer, it sounds like, is literally anyone can do this regardless of, how good of a content creator you are or not. So, I've got just one question of curiosity, and then I've got 2 more questions I'd like to ask you, man.
Cool.
Because I know, man, you're providing so much value, and I don't want to take up all your time today.
No, this is fun, man.
Gym dropping you're doing, but I want to ask you this. I mean, that you just explained to me is huge. I'm the kind of person, Trevor, right? I'm in business because, like many others, right? We want to create impact, right? And a lot of times people who think like that, like yourself and like we put something together, but then we want to improve it based upon, well, how can we make it better? How can we serve people, right? How can Carrot serve the person who isn't that good of a content creator? And so I'm just curious to know, man, how did you come up with that idea? Like, what was it that just sparked that for you? That's amazing.
Dude, I think the biggest thing is like anytime you have a product for people, #1, you need to be in the trenches doing the thing and like actually talking with the people and experimenting. I think that's one thing I'll see a lot with other competing products or even in other industries. They create something and then they forget to be in the trenches with the client going, cool, like you implemented that thing. Like here's what happened. In the early days with Carrot, the Carrot websites didn't rank really good in Google because the framework was good, but it was, we taught people how to go through and update your title tag and put all the right content on and do all this. No one would do it. It's like, guys, just follow the directions. It works. Like if you actually did the thing, it would work. And so then we'd be talking with people and I'm like, let me pull up the page I sent you earlier. Have you done these things? And they're like, well, I kind of did a couple of those and I just don't really have the time for it. I'm like, but you want the result, but you're not willing to do the thing that I just taught you. And so we would pull back and we would say, well, how can we just like do some of that stuff for them so they don't have to do those things? And so that's what it is, man. We would keep pulling back going, well, guys, we're teaching you to go shoot videos and put them on YouTube and put them into rev.com and copy and paste a transcription and copy and paste in a blog, like all these steps, right? And everyone's like, yeah, sounds amazing, but I don't have the time to do it. I'm like, damn, if you just did it, it would work. Maybe could we like, hey, tech team, could we just do some of this stuff for them? And so that's what we do over and over again, man. We have those conversations. It's always that, guys, if you do it, it works. Well, I don't have time to do it. Like, oh, damn, like, could we automate some of that so it'll actually do it for them? And that's how that came up. And we're going to take one more step on that, because even this process here, we took a 40-minute process down to 4 minutes for them. Even this is too long for some people. So now we're going, okay, how do we eliminate them even having to log into Carrot to do this? Like, can we eliminate so they don't have to log in at all? And what's going to be coming out likely this year is you're just going to have to hook up your YouTube account one time. And then we're going to ping you every time a new video is in your YouTube account saying, hey, we see a new video. Do you want a video posted? Yes or no? Bam, yes. That's not in place yet, but so that's the process.
It's amazing, man. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. And so here's what I want to know now, man. And this is for everyone listening. I'm sure that from all the value that they've gotten today, I mean, I'm sure there's people right now who's probably wondering, Trevor, how can they actually get Carrot?
Yep. Well, dude, carrot.com is the best spot. And what I encourage people for sure is we don't teach you how to invest in real estate. That's not our jam. That's why you guys are on this podcast. That's why you guys are in the wholesaling school. Like, you guys are in the exact right spot to learn how to do this. Okay. Once you've learned how to do that and how to close the deals and how to talk to sellers, then it's a perfect time to come over and get your website. Because even if you're doing direct mail, or even if you're doing cold calling, and even if you're on here going, well, I don't need Carrot because I get all my deals from direct mail or cold calling, I can guarantee you, your people who you're direct mailing and cold calling, they're picking up their cell phone and searching you. They're searching the phone number that you're cold calling or texting from. They're Googling the name of your company or your name after they get the direct mail piece. And my question is, how many leads and deals are you losing right now every single year because you're not painting that good picture, not converting them online well when they research for you? And if your average profit per deal is $20K a year, are you like, how many $20,000 deals are you okay with losing this year because you don't have the online presence tightened up, even if all you do is offline, right? So literally go to carrot.com and you guys can pick a plan. What I would suggest is that mid-tier plan, the one it's $100 a month, guys. Comes with a weekly group coaching call with our team. You can launch up to 3 websites. You can get a motivated seller site if you want, a cash buyer site if you want to do mobile homes or land flipping, which can be really popular in the coming years. You can launch 3 sites in there. You can access the video post feature I talked about with that plan. You can access the automated content feature. And then as you get even more wrapped into it, then you can elevate to the higher plans if it's something that you want. But yeah, just go to carrot.com, check out the free content that we've got there, check out my podcast. And if it fits and you like our core values, awesome. We'd love to work with you. Beautiful, beautiful, man. And Trevor, please share with us one fun fact about you, man. Just what's one really cool or weird fun fact? That's a good question, man. So I'll get really real with you here, man. I was born with a syndrome that's like a 1 in a million kind of a syndrome. And up until probably 4 years ago, I never talked about this, like, ever. Because I was embarrassed about it. And I've realized now it's part of my story and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. But I was born with the syndrome. My brothers are all 6 feet tall. My dad's 6 foot tall. I'm 5'6". I'm not a tall dude. Have joint problems that popped up, but I powered through them in college playing baseball and stuff. But the biggest thing, man, was I had 32 teeth pulled over 2 years. 32 teeth at age 12 and 14. Because part of the syndrome, you grow all these extra teeth that are like coming in everywhere. And no one really knew what it was at the time. And so I had these 2 surgeries, yanked out a ton of teeth. And through my entire junior high school and high school years, dude, I didn't have any teeth in the top and I was missing teeth in the bottom as they're trying to pull them down. As you can imagine, that sucks. Like I wasn't a guy who talked much at that time. I wasn't a guy who I still had a confidence in me. Like, I was never bullied, thankfully. I had a confidence in me for sure, because I knew that was going to end eventually. It wasn't going to be like that forever. And I'm like, if I could just get through the next 4, 5, 6 years and just have as much confidence as possible and still not let this hold me back doing other things, imagine what I can do when I'm an adult. And so, guys, I went from a guy who didn't talk hardly ever at all to a guy that's almost all that I do now. And because I have a mission that's bigger than my disability was. And I just want to challenge anyone. A lot of you listening to this have way bigger challenges than I've ever had. And so look at what your motivation is going to be and power through it. And a lot of you have challenges that are way smaller than the challenges I've gone over, and look at why you're not challenging yourself to get through them. So fun fact, probably no other people on this call have had 32 teeth pulled out and still have a full set of teeth.
That is amazing, man. Thank you so much for sharing that, Trevor. Really, man. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast, sharing with everyone your knowledge, your extensive knowledge, man, and also the value that you are providing through the real estate investment industry, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the School of Wholesaling show, sharing that with everyone, man. And yeah, man, I'm so happy, man, because dude, you're like an epitome of the 1% of people, right, that face their challenges and actually like go through with it, right? Like follow through. I mean, this entire journey that we call entrepreneurship, which really I call life. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly.
It's gonna continue with the challenges, man. The challenges are gonna just keep coming and coming and coming. And I absolutely just admire your level of just commitment, man, and the passion that you have in this industry, brother. And we're lucky to have you, Trevor, really. So thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show, taking out the time. I took out took what, a whole hour from you, man.
Dude, I'm grateful, man. Like this to me, when I started that podcast in 2016, I wrote on that thing, I want to do more interviews with amazing entrepreneurs, whether it's me interviewing them or vice versa, because it gives me energy. I love taking whatever I can and have people hopefully get value from it. And I just, like my core values for the company say, I want to be a beacon of positivity and possibility for people. And dude, you're an amazing epitome of it as well. And keep the energy up, man. Like people need that positive energy right now. There's so much negative energy in the world, and people need exactly what you're bringing. And everyone listening to this, dive deeper and deeper and deeper into what you've learned in this podcast, but all the podcasts. Keep in the School of Wholesaling. Dive deeper in that you're in the right spot, and then pick and choose kind of those other resources that can help you get to other places. So, man, I'm grateful to be on here with you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much, brother. Now, one last thing, and then we'll go ahead and we'll close it out, man. For those people who want to get a hold of you online, how do you get that? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Dude, Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. I post a lot on there. I'm doing 75 hard challenge right now. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like a fitness and life challenge. I'm posting that every day. But Trevor.Mauch, that's MAUCH. Or lately Clubhouse, dude. I don't know if many of you are on Clubhouse, but find me on Clubhouse.
Yeah, man. Clubhouse is the spot right now.
It is.
All right. Perfect, man. Thank you so much again, Trevor, for joining us today on the show. Guys, this is it for today's show. I hope that you really, really enjoyed the time that we spent here with Trevor Mauch of Carrot, the one and only Carrot.com. If you're looking right now to get online and take your business from dinosaur to futuristic, because let's be honest, the online is really, the future is really online. Let's put it that way, right? And so if you guys want to start doing that, go to Carrot.com. And if you have any questions, reach out to my man Trevor at Trevor.Mauch on Instagram. And for sure, as you guys already know, you're more than welcome to reach out to me as well at Luke Madeus on IG. Watch out for our Clubhouse as well, guys. We're going to be dropping lots and lots of gems on Clubhouse. And if you haven't done so already, you could join the Masterclass program, guys, and really, really take yourself from 0 to 100 right now with the education tools and support that you need on your journey for only $97 a month. Okay, so go ahead, guys, take massive action. Even if you don't take advantage of anything that myself or Trevor has offered you today, we're just here to bring you a ton of value, and that's all we're here to do. So, guys, get out there, continue to take massive action, continue to educate yourself, and let's wholesale real estate. Au revoir.
Dude, awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.